We got people like, Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox ICE employees, ICE agents out there with masks on. They're wearing masks to protect themselves and their families because they've been doxxed, their families been doxxed, their life's been threatened, their families have been threatened. I know myself, I had over 1,000 protesters at my house. I expect that as the borders are, but these men and women are putting their lives online every day. They arrested a lot of bad people yesterday and today. They arrested child sex offenders. They arrested people convicted of robbery. They arrested not only significant public safety threats, but national security threats. They arrested gang members. We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor Bass ought to be thanking us for making her city safe.
Before most of LA even woke up, federal agents descended on the city's beachfront like clockwork. It wasn't just a raid, it was a covert federal takedown, unlike anything locals had seen in years. In just 26 minutes, over 1,300 undocumented migrants were detained and loaded into unmarked vans. No warning, no city coordination, just helicopters overhead and masked agents moving in tight formation. The operation, reportedly ordered directly by Donald Trump, has already ignited a firestorm. For supporters, it's proof that immigration enforcement can be fast and effective. For critics, it felt like a political stunt, staged in one of the most liberal cities in America to provoke outrage and fear. This wasn't business as usual. This was a message. The question now is, to who? What do you think this was really about? Security or spectacle? By sunrise, parts of Los Angeles looked more like a military checkpoint than a beachside city. Masked agents in tactical gear, flanked by armored vehicles, moved block by block. Witnesses reported people being detained at local shops, laundromats, even a hardware store. Vans with blacked-out windows waited at intersections. Community groups are calling it indiscriminate. Officials say it was targeted and efficient. Either way, dozens of people vanished into federal custody before the city could even respond. Some were longtime residents, others were just passing through. The government dubbed it Operation Lightning Sweep, and judging by the reaction online, it did exactly what it was meant to do: shock the system. Does this kind of raid make America safer, or just more divided? Tell us in the comments. They called it Operation Lightning Sweep, and for once, the name wasn't an exaggeration. Just after sunrise, LA's beachfront turned into the backdrop for one of the fastest and most tightly coordinated immigration crackdowns in recent history. According to sources inside Homeland Security, the mission was months in the making and signed off personally by Donald Trump. Unmarked vans sealed every exit. Armed agents moved with military-level synchronization. Airborne drones and surveillance teams hovered overhead. The goal? Hit hard, hit fast, and leave no room to react. Within 26 minutes, over 1,300 undocumented migrants were in custody. Supporters called it a flawless operation. Critics called it a political stunt disguised as policy. Either way, the scale and speed caught the nation off guard, and that may have been the point.
Están mis hijas esperándolos en la casa. 6 niñas tengo que dependen de nosotros.
It began at exactly 6:04 a.m. By 6:30, it was over. What took months to plan played out in under half an hour. Witnesses said it felt like something out of a movie. Vans screeching into position, agents shouting commands, helicopters circling. There was no gunfire, no visible resistance, just stunned silence and fear. Some families were eating breakfast. Others were still asleep under tarps and tents. Within minutes, people were lined up and processed. Insiders say the area had been mapped using AI, drones, and cell phone data. Only a select group of officials knew what was coming. Every second was calculated, every movement rehearsed. For those swept up, it was life-altering. For the rest of the country, it was something else entirely. A reminder that when the federal government wants to move, nothing and no one stands in the way. Should raids like this be the new normal? Or is this a dangerous path? Drop your thoughts below.
Now, it's not just African, Asian, or Latin American countries. Every day, it seems we hear a new horror story of Customs and Border Protection stopping and detaining someone at an air or land port who is from Canada or Europe. And often, they then wrongly send those people to ICE detention for weeks. This includes a German national on a fiancé visa who spent over 2 weeks in an ICE detention center because he and his U.S. citizen spouse simply took a day trip to Mexico.
How does any agency detain over 1,300 people in just 26 minutes, without chaos, without warning, without a single tip-off? The answer: next-generation surveillance tech and a playbook straight from Trump's first term. ICE agents weren't just acting on hunches. They were armed with facial recognition linked to DMV records and scraped social media profiles. Heat signatures from overhead drones tracked movement on the ground, while real-time cell phone pings revealed who was inside each tent and building before boots even hit the sand. Some of those detained had been flagged weeks ago. Cross-referenced GPS data confirmed their locations down to the block. It was a digital dragnet, wrapped in complete silence. No leaks, no slip-ups, just agents moving in, executing, and disappearing, all before most of the city even realized what was happening. Whether you call it strategic or Orwellian, one thing's clear: this wasn't a raid, it was a test. And now that it worked, it may only be the beginning. Is this the future of law enforcement, or a warning we're not taking seriously enough?
Protesters and a tense standoff. Good evening, everybody. You're watching LA Live News Tonight. Thanks for being with us. I'm Marla Tejas.
I'm Christine Devine. New tonight, federal agents clash with protesters during an ICE raid at a Ventura County cannabis farm.
The operation at Glass House Farms near Camarillo today turned chaotic. Fox 11's Ed Lascos live there with the very latest tonight. Ed, has it quieted down at all?
Yeah. Well, let's give you a look real quick, Marla, with Frank, give you an idea. This is Laguna Road here. It's the cross off Las Posas. This is a motorcade of some of the workers from Glass House Farms leaving, trying to talk to some of them. And they were saying they were told by a lot of the folks inside not to say anything.
From the very first drone sweep, this operation was tech-fueled and surgically executed. Hours before agents moved in, unmanned aerial systems were already circling above the beachfront, scanning heat signatures, mapping movement patterns, and logging every tent, vehicle, and body in the zone. Infrared sensors traced foot traffic. Helicopters loomed overhead, ready to respond the moment anyone tried to run. On the ground, blacked-out vans rolled in tight formation, boxing in the entire perimeter from the sand to the back streets. ICE agents wore live body cams linked directly to federal HQ. Facial recognition systems confirmed identities in real time. No one needed to speak, no one needed to guess. To observers, it felt less like an immigration raid, and more like a controlled experiment in modern surveillance power. To Trump's inner circle, that's exactly what it was. A field test in real-time federal reach. And based on what happened in LA, the test was a success. Does this level of control make you feel safer or more watched? Let us know where you stand.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that.
To locals, it felt like something out of a war movie. Helicopters cutting through the sky, agents shouting commands, black vans blocking streets. At first, we thought it was a terrorist attack, said Marina Del Rey resident Joel Ramirez. Parents grabbed their children. Runners froze. Tourists fled in panic, not knowing what was unfolding. What they witnessed was dozens of ICE agents moving in eerie synchronization. No gunfire, no chaos, just silent efficiency. Some migrants tried to blend into crowds, but real-time facial recognition tech made disappearing nearly impossible. Beach vendors abandoned carts mid-sail. Workers vanished. For many in Los Angeles, this was their first experience watching the full weight of federal power play out on civilian streets. It didn't feel like America, one witness said. But maybe that feeling wasn't an accident. Because for Trump's administration, the goal wasn't just to detain people, it was to send a message. And everyone heard it. What did this moment say to you? Justice being served, or something more dangerous unfolding?
Laguna Road here is the cross off Las Posas. This is a motorcade of some of the workers from Glass House Farms leaving, trying to talk to some of them. And they were saying they were told by a lot of the folks inside not to say anything. These are the folks, obviously, who haven't been detained by the federal agents as part of this latest immigration raid. And the crowd offering support here, clapping to a lot of the folks going by.
Why LA's beachfront? Why there, and why now? According to insiders at DHS, the decision was both tactical and symbolic. Migrants had started forming semi-permanent encampments along the coast, assuming the city's image, politics, and media presence made it a no-go zone for federal action. Trump's team saw it differently. They saw an opening, a vulnerable, exposed zone. And by striking in such a high-profile liberal stronghold, the message was unmistakable. No place is off-limits anymore. There was also a cold logic to it. Beachfront areas are easier to lock down than crowded neighborhoods. Few access roads, limited exits, and wide-open space. ICE didn't just move fast, they moved smart. But beyond the tactics, this was psychological warfare. It wasn't just about 1,300 arrests. It was about shaking confidence, making every undocumented person question whether safe zones still exist. ICE's official list reportedly focused on 1,000 high-priority individuals, those with old removal orders, expired visas, or pending criminal charges. But by the end of the sweep, 1,300 were taken. Many had no prior offenses. Activists say dozens were what they call collateral arrests, people in the wrong place at the wrong time. Some were asylum seekers. Some were still waiting on visa hearings. One pregnant woman was reportedly picked up on her way to a mobile clinic, her name not even verified before she was transported. For critics, the line between enforcement and profiling was obliterated. For Trump's supporters, it was overdue cleanup in a system long out of control. But for families caught in the middle, the debate didn't matter. They were separated, processed, and gone, in under half an hour. Perhaps the most explosive revelation? Not a single LA official was informed. Mayor Karen Bass said her office, the LAPD, and even the California governor were completely blindsided. This wasn't a breakdown in communication. It was a calculated power move. Trump's federal team bypassed local coordination entirely, using national authority to override LA's sanctuary protections. It wasn't just about immigration. It was about who holds the final word in America. Trump has long argued that local policies shouldn't protect undocumented migrants. This raid made that belief a reality, and in doing so, it reopened one of the ugliest political wounds in the country, federal versus local power. City leaders called the operation unconstitutional, unethical, and outrageous. But it was already over. By the time they responded, the detainees were already on buses heading out of state. Their outrage, it echoed but felt hollow. Within hours, protesters flooded the area, chanting, "Shame." Legal aid tents popped up. Churches opened their doors. Civil rights attorneys accused ICE of overreach and demanded immediate judicial review. But not everyone was outraged. Some residents and business owners welcomed the raid, claiming it finally addressed the growing lawlessness and safety issues along the beach. Online, Trump supporters rallied around the hashtag #TakeBackAmerica, calling the sweep a long overdue correction. Even some moderates, no fans of Trump, admitted shock at how quickly and cleanly it unfolded. Meanwhile, the families of those deported were left behind, confused, heartbroken, and without answers. For every person who called it justice, someone else called it terror. What happened on LA's beachfront wasn't just a deportation. It was a seismic shift in the immigration war. Trump's team just proved that mass deportation doesn't have to be messy. It can be fast, silent, precise, but at what cost? Communities are rattled, legal questions are stacking up, and fear is rippling through migrant communities nationwide. Supporters call it a turning point. Critics say it's a crackdown gone too far. One thing's for sure, this was no one-off. The next sweep could happen anywhere, and for millions of undocumented migrants, the clock is now ticking. Was this justice or a dangerous new precedent? Drop your take below. We read every comment.